Now, when you hear that music, you know we're going to talk high school. Friday Night Lights theme song. Brad Caldwell now joins us. Again, he heads up Arkansas Sports Network. Brad, I know you're excited about this game come Friday. Got an Arkansas commit in Antonio Jordan that a lot of people are excited to see. Kind of set the stage, man. What do we have to look forward to on Friday night?
Well, we have a great matchup is what we have, and we do rankings here at ASN ourselves, and this is actually the number 1 and number 2 teams in our 4A rankings that we have, and both teams are becoming more perennial state title contenders, especially Elkins. Obviously, Warren has been there for years now with all the athletes that they've sent up to the University of Arkansas. Elkins is really an up-and-coming program there. Coach Zach Watson has done a great job there of getting the Elks going. A lot of losses with them last year, but they have decided they've reloaded, and they look good. Beat Dardanelle 51-0 last week. Dardanelle was a top 10 team in our 4A poll, and they look good early season. Obviously, this is going to be a great matchup between these two teams. Arkansas commitment on one side, a perennial powerhouse every year in the Warren Lumberjacks, Elkins Elks, Northwest Arkansas, an up-and-coming team that both, it really could be a state championship preview before it's all said and done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I love the fact, Brad, that y'all are kind of bringing them in the middle. I don't know if Russellville's exactly in the middle, but great location to have this football game, and it's right off the interstate. I think you guys are going to have a great crowd of people that come to just watch this that maybe don't even have a tie to either school.
Well, that's the hope, really. That's really what we want. When we started the Arkansas Sports Network, one of the things that we wanted to do was follow kids that were committed to the Razorbacks. We started live streaming 4 years ago with ASN, and we went to Shiloh Christian and had Caden Henley was one of our first athletes that we featured there. Since then, we've evolved a little bit. We definitely do a lot of small school stuff, but we also do some big school stuff as well. But we're glad to be able to showcase the type of talent that's going to be on the field on Friday night. It's going to be a lot of fun there at ATU. Man, I tell you what, if you're a high school football fan and you're out there and maybe your team is playing away or whatever, and you just want to come watch a great game, I don't think it's going to get much better. In fact, I believe Nate Olson at SB Live actually rated this one of the top 25 ball games in the state for the entire year. So this is going to be awesome.
Tickets it's not like you're spending an arm and a leg. It's just like, what, $10 to get in the door, Brad?
$10 to get in the door. I'd love to do cheaper, but it costs me a little bit of money to rent the field. So, it's going to be $10 to get in there to watch a great football game. And, man, I just think that when it comes down to it, especially non-conference action, this is going to be about as good as it gets.
So tell us about Antonio Jordan a little bit. This is, you mentioned the prodigies that have come out of Warren, Arkansas, most notably and most recently Traylon Burks, of course, Jarius and Chris back in the, why am I blanking on the Jarius Wright? Greg Childs. Greg's the other one, sorry. What can you tell us about this kid that, look, on paper has all the measurables and, of course, has Warren in his background?
Well, 6'6", 230 is where you start with him, Obviously, that's a freak in itself. You consider the fact that the Warren Lumberjacks and Coach Embry have been able to develop the type of talent that they have down there. It's not like the Warren guys come up there and don't play. I mean, These are guys that are absolute contributors to the Razorbacks, and, I mean, go as far as to say even superstars in a lot of instances. And, Jordan is a kid that didn't go to a lot of camps. I think he might be a high 3-star right now.
Yeah.
But, at 6'6" and 230 pounds and a guy that doesn't seem to care a whole lot about getting that recognition, I think that Arkansas might have a diamond in the rough with him. I mean, again, you can't teach size. 6'6", 230, I mean, that you could stick that on the college field, D1 field right now, and that's going to be hard to match up with.
Brad, you mentioned some notable games upcoming. I know that you guys rated this as the 1 and 2 in the 4A. What is your overall view of Arkansas high school football through the first 3 or 4 weeks we've gotten to see?
Well, I think everybody's kind of getting their footing underneath them, number one. I mean, the perennials are always there, man. I mean, you've got Pulaski Academy in 7A is a team that moved all the way up. I don't even know what their school population is, but they don't play at a 7A level there as far as the population goes, but they're moving up and they look good in 7A. Of course, you've got Conway and Bentonville and all of those teams up there that do that. And the 6A Greenwood is just Greenwood, and right now they're a machine, and maybe some of the best Greenwood teams that you'll see out there right now. They're definitely there. And then, and down in the 5A, Parkview is the team right now that everybody is chasing. When you mention Greenwood, you mention Conway, Bryant, Fayetteville, Parkview. I mean, that's the question of who's the best team in the state overall. You got to throw them in the mix. I know that Robinson is a team that we moved up to number 2 in our 5A poll after beating Jonesboro, going over there and beating them. They're definitely just good. I mean, they're just great. And then you've got in the 4A, obviously, our 1 and 2 there. You've got 4A's deep, 3A's deep. I mean, those two right there, those conferences, they've got several teams that can win the state championship. If you go down into 3A, Newport is a team right now that's sticking out quite a bit. Fordyce is another team. Fordyce last year was a team that finished 6-6, but played Prescott in the playoffs and lost to them 7-6. And Prescott ended up playing for a state championship. So they've got a lot coming back. So they're going to be a formidable foe for sure. Boonville, we got a chance to see Boonville last week, and those guys, they lost a bunch. But I know one thing, they tout a really, really good junior class there, and that Boonville team is a team that is going to be reckoned with for sure. 2A, I think that you got to look at Carlisle as one. Conway Christian is another. Junction City moved down into 2A. They're a team that every time they get into 2A, they seem to do very, very well. And so you've got a lot of teams. Of course, you still got a bunch of teams that I don't even mention that still have state championship dreams. And I'll tell you one thing, when you think you've got it figured out, when it comes to the playoffs, as Tommy knows, you don't quite have it figured out.
Yeah, I look at Bentonville right now, 0-2 after losing to Tulsa Union in overtime, then getting decidedly beat by Conway last week. But if you think Bentonville's not going to be a factor at the end, you're probably going to be wrong. I mean, they're a really good team, which tells you how really good Conway is.
Absolutely. Coach Jody Grant over there does a phenomenal job. Bentonville's really been the team in the 7A West now for years. And, Fayetteville took that mantle last year, was able to win the state behind Drake Lindsay, who is obviously very, very good. Got a chance to get in the game against Minnesota, or with Minnesota, I should say, last week. And, he's a talent, and he helped them move on. And, of course, Fayetteville's the only school up there that didn't split, and so I know that plays into their advantage a little bit. But Bentonville, you're exactly right. 2 tough losses there, but when it comes down to it, they're going to be right there at the top of 7A West.
Yeah, and I think some interesting next couple of weeks. Now, you got games in a lot of places. Then, kind of that week 3 gets, there's not as many games around the state. So it seems like a lot of teams are either taking this week off, or most of the state, Brad, seems to be taking next week off ahead of conference play.
Absolutely. Yeah, I actually like the bye week. I can tell you as a third-grade head coach, I'd love to have a bye week. So I know that the high school teams really enjoy. The great thing about the bye week is you kind of find out who you are the first 3 weeks. You get a chance to correct yourself during that bye week. And so for these teams that are using this bye week here, right before conference play starts, I think it's the perfect time for them to take the bye week, kind of see, well, we did this well, we didn't do this quite well, and we're going to fix these things. And so I think that's a great thing for the bye week at this time.
So what everyone needs to do, Ty, is make your plans to go to this game at Arkansas Tech, see two of the premier teams in 4A. You can get there early enough. You get off at the same exit as CJ's. So you can go over and get you a CJ's burger and then go, what is it, maybe a mile and a half down to the stadium, and then, you're right there. So it's just a perfect setup at exit 81.
And I know that Brad knows that place well. Brad, before we let you go, and again, the Arkansas Sports Classic this weekend, and for between Elkins and Warren. I know you're really excited about that. Sponsored by the Arkansas Army National Guard. Overall thoughts on the Razorbacks before we let you go?
Well, I liked what I saw for the most part. It's quite an improvement from what we've seen last year. I liked the offensive line for the most part. Had some misassignments that ended up costing us. I think that Taylon Green is a guy that is phenomenal talent. I have said, maybe I'm wrong about this, but I think you're going to get your best Taylon Green next year. You're going to see, I think, a lot of what you saw. I say a lot of what you saw. You're going to see good and bad with Taylon Green this year, but I think he will be able to get that worked out maybe next year. If it all kind of hangs together, you might get your best Taylon Green next year. Obviously, in college sports, you can't even depend on next year, but you understand what I'm saying. But with all of that being said, I think the Razorbacks have a chance to win some ball games this year. I think that September is vital when you go to Auburn and you get a chance to play Texas A&M. If you can somehow come out of September 4-1, that's a major win. With Tennessee and LSU and Mississippi State in October, I think that's a really good setup, especially with the bye week worked in there. I think Arkansas's got a chance to make some noise, but they got to take care of business.
Brad, we'll leave it there, man. We appreciate the update on the game this Friday and enjoy it. Hopefully Antonio Jordan shows out and there's a classic between the Elks and the Lumberjacks. Enjoy the game.
Let me get one more thing in real quick. Go to the ArkansasSportsNetwork.com. You can buy tickets there, or you can look on our Facebook. We've got posts all up and down there with the Eventbrite link, or you can just walk up and get tickets there at the ticket booth. Ticket booth will open at 5 p.m.
Perfect.
All right, give me that website one more time, Brad.
ArkansasSportsNetwork.com.
ArkansasSportsNetwork.com. Well, if you're interested in watching two of the better high schools in the state in 4A, then you know the place to do it. Brad, appreciate it. Enjoy the game, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, that's again Brad Caldwell with the Arkansas Sports Network and the Arkansas Sports Network Classic. Tommy, I know you're working on Friday, but I know where you'd be if you weren't working.
Yeah, that's a good one. Wish I was working there. That'll be a fun game.
Get fired up for a fantastic Football Friday this Friday as the Elkins Elks face the formidable Warren Lumberjacks in a fight to the finish in what promises to be a fierce, fan-fueled feature game. Fire up your Friday night with some of the finest football in the state of Arkansas. Will the Elks elevate their game, or will the Lumberjacks log a victory? Find out this Friday right here on the Arkansas Sports Network.